Hello, this is Brian. Today is Saturday, October 9th, 2021. Over by the Chilao Visitor Center, just off Angeles Crest Highway, which is just down there. Man. Beautiful day up here. Let's take a look around. For the inner botanist in you, there's a lot to see here. Here's where I'm parked right here. Of course, we're close to the noise of Angeles Crest Highway and all the gonzo motorcyclists who come racing through here at lightning speed. But that beside, there's a lot of neat stuff here. Chilao Canyon is just down this way. I've shot some video over there where I've shown you some of the large incense cedars and Bigcone Douglas-Firs and Jeffrey pines. But up here by the visitor center, there's a lot of good stuff over here to check out too. Got several of these guys here. Giant sequoias. Sequoia dendron and giganteum. I plant them a lot near these visitor centers and picnic areas. So you'll see lots of sequoias planted, and they seem to do quite well here in Angeles National Forest. There we go. The old little sprays of needle-like leaves. Now, of course, its relative incense cedar, Calocetus decurrens, is very common in this area. It's very, very common. And with the incense cedar, it's natural to this area. It's very natural. Giant sequoia, you have to go up to Tulare County before you start seeing those in their native habitat. But like I said, they do well here in the mountains here in Southern California. See them planted here in the San Gabriels. See them planted in the San Bernardinos. Seen them planted in the San Jacintos. Seen them. I don't know if I've seen them planted at Palomar Mountain. I think there might be one near High Point, planted near High Point, but I'm not sure. I know there's a sugar pine planted up there, but they might plant them in that area. But of course, these little guys are the giveaway that these are giant sequoias. These incense cedar cones are much different looking. Incense cedar cones have flat duckbill shapes. So there's a lot of other cool stuff here. And Chilao is usually where you start seeing sugar pines popping up a lot more. This is this little young one right here. This is Pinus lambertiana. Start seeing these. I mean, you go by Mount Wilson, there are a few sugar pines by Mount Wilson. Believe it or not, there are actually some sugar pines over there. But you really start seeing them more, especially parts of Chilao Canyon. There's some decent sized incense cedar mixed in with these sugar pines. So, some of the sugar pines start getting larger, and then once you get up to above 6,000 feet, then the sugar pines really kick in. And then one thing I always loved about this area, the huge Arizona cypress trees they got planted here. This tree's not truly a California native, if you believe in the separation of Hesperos epirus arizonica, which is Arizona cypress. Other botanists call it Cupressus arizonica, but Arizona cypress, depending on which botanist you believe or listen to, it can either be classified as a native or a non-native tree. Now, Arizona cypress used to encompass a lot of the species of cypress trees that are native here to California, a couple of which are found in Southern California. For instance, Cuyamaca cypress, Hesperocyparis stevensonii, which only lives in a couple of spots in the whole entire world. It's only native near the southwestern side of Cuyamaca Peak, not in the state park, but in the Cleveland National Forest. And then there might be a few spots in northern Baja where Cuyamaca cypress is known to grow. It's pretty similar. They're pretty similar looking trees. The bark's actually, I think, supposed to be quite similar. However, Arizona cypress seems to have multiple forms of bark, and some botanists actually consider these two different species of trees. You got Hesperocyparis arizonica, the one with the stringy bark, and then you got these ones that get these mottled, flaky barks, especially when they get older, and sometimes they call those Hesperocyparis glabra. So I've heard the name, I've heard it being split up into species too. The nomenclature of the cypress family is very, 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 very complicated. So, with that in mind, the giant sequoia is now listed as a member of the cypress family, the Cupressaceae. It used to be listed in a different family. It used to be listed with redwood, bald cypress, Don redwood, and bald cypress in the Taxodiaceae. That used to be the family name to which the giant sequoia and the coast redwood belonged, along with those other trees I was mentioning. However, they have been basically merged into the Cupressaceae. So sequoia, sequoia dendron, metasequoia, taxodium have been basically merged into the Cupressaceae now. So they are in the same family with the cypresses, the incense cedars, the junipers, and many, many, many more. The Cupressaceae is quite a large family of coniferous trees. But so I don't know what I was kind of talking about with the Arizona cypress. Again, some people break this up into Hesperocyparis arizonica with the stringier bark, and sometimes the bark can be quite stringy. This is a little bit flaky, but not quite stringy. This one, some botanists might refer to as Hesperocyparis or Cupressus glabra, from what I've read and understood. So what does that have to do with the Cuyamaca cypress I was talking about, Hesperocyparis stevensonii, or Cupressus stevensonii? I refer to it as Hesperocyparis, the New World cypresses. It used to be known as Hesperocyparis arizonica subspecies stevensonii, the Cuyamaca cypress. Then, at times it was just listed as Hesperocyparis arizonica, as just Arizona cypress. So that's where that part of the confusion a lot lies. Now there's another species of Hesperocyparis found mostly in Kern County, maybe in some other nearby spots. I don't know if it goes up into Tulare. If you go to the Paiute Mountains, that's southeast of Isabella Lake, there's also another species of cypress called Paiute cypress, which is Hesperocyparis nevadensis. And that was also listed as part of the Arizona cypress block. So it was formerly known as Hesperocyparis arizonica subspecies nevadensis. And those trees are quite similar in stature and shape to the Arizona cypress in general. So that may be why, partly why, they were all listed under Arizona cypress. And at that time, and it still is to some people today, representing the idea that Arizona cypress is a California native. Is it a native or is it not a native? So, Hesperus nevadensis is the Paiute cypress, and that's where it lies right now, I believe. I've seen the Paiute cypress. If I can find where I have that video, I can link that video, because I did go to the Paiute cypress grove near Isabella Lake, and really neat to see those. It's one of those really rare endemic species, like the Cuyamaca cypress, that really doesn't exist anywhere else. But back to just the general Chilao area, just look at that. It's a magnificent cypress tree. They're not normally you wouldn't think of these cypress trees as being nearly as large as the yellow pine trees here, like the Jeffrey pines, and the white pines like the sugar pine. And usually they're even smaller than the Coulter pines, which are more moderate sized pine here in Southern California. But there are few other interesting things around here. I could go on and on, but I'm going to focus mostly on the conifers. Then my battery's starting to get low. If worse comes to worse, maybe this will be a two-part series. I don't know. If you see, you'll see it on the title, whether it's just this episode or part 1 or 2. I don't know. We'll see. So, I've been here a few times, and I've enjoyed coming here, checking out the trees, and I really still do. But I didn't notice. But you notice here, we've got more sequoias. I've really got several giant sequoias planted here, and you can usually tell them as they're the really, really super narrow, spiky trees. So when they're young, they're super narrow and super spiky looking. Then, just happened to notice something very interesting. That right next to this sequoia here, and I'm surprised to see it growing this high in elevation, this is a coast redwood right here. Sequoia sempervirens. This is actually a coast redwood. I'm kind of surprised to see it this high up. I mean, I've seen a couple of coast redwoods near Lake Arrowhead, believe it or not. And that's slightly lower. It's a couple hundred feet lower than where we are here. But we're in an area that gets very, very, very good cold air drainage. And for my knowledge, coast redwoods are not really known to be very cold hardy trees. They grow in a very maritime influenced climate. So I'm kind of surprised to see a coast redwood tree planted here in Chilao. And this area can get snowed on pretty heavily in the winter. So to see a coast redwood tree planted here is quite a sight. I didn't even notice this until today. And I've been over here several times. I even shot video near this area. But this is the first time I've ever noticed a coast redwood tree here at Chilao at 5,300 feet above sea level. Like I said, coast redwoods are not known for their extreme cold tolerance. So suffice it to say, it's very surprising to see a coast redwood tree planted this high up in the mountains. And true to form, a lot of these redwood trees, you'll notice that they send up a lot of shoots from the roots. So a lot of suckers, they generate a lot of suckers from their base. Very common. And their cones are similarly shaped to the sequoia cones, but they're much smaller. I mean much smaller. This is a sequoia cone, so they're similar in shape, but much smaller. And I very highly doubt that this tree ever produces. It's quite stunted, but nevertheless quite an interesting thing to see at over a mile high in elevation. And like I said, this area gets very good cold air drainage, so how it has made it is beyond me. Maybe the shelter of this young giant sequoia has maybe kept in some of the heat from the ground. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna make this a multi-part video set. So my battery power is about to drain, so I will see you on part 2 with more interesting coniferous trees of the Chilao area. See you in part number 2.